We'll call the meeting of Board of Dental Examiners to order. We have 4 members present today, and we have the other 3 available on live stream. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all for being here. Next, we need to establish a quorum with a roll call vote. So I'll start with Dr. York.
Here.
Dr. Gray here.
Talbot here.
Perry here.
All right, do we have
Piszczek here.
Dr. Piszczek.
Dr. Piszczek here? How about Dr. McElwain?
Yes.
Is that a yes for Dr. McElwain? Okay. Dr. McElwain's not present yet. And how about Dr. White? Okay, so we do have a quorum of 4 present board members and 1 online. My understanding here is that we can't vote unless we're in person. Is that correct, Tara?
No,
It's not correct.
that's not
Okay.
correct.
All right, so
We have to have a roll call vote.
so we can have a roll call vote and Dr. Piszczek can vote?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, that's good. All right, so let's go ahead and I move to approve this agenda that's in front of us with 1 modification. We have a surprise guest here. Dr. Lynn Muninghoff came to speak for public comment. And since he is here in person, I would like to make a motion that we modify this agenda and allow him to speak to public comment.
Second.
Do I have a second? Okay, roll call vote.
York, aye.
Gray, yes?
Talbot, yes.
Perry, yes.
Piszczek, yes.
Okay. And do we have any other members that have joined us? Okay. Motion passes. And let's go ahead and to respect Dr. Muninghoff's time, let's go ahead and have him come up before we move on to the financials.
Well, I certainly do thank Dr. Gray for his kindness. I might mention that for 20 years, his father kept our grad pros program going, and I've known Gray for quite some time. So I guess I'll have to be careful on what I say. I don't want to run any old friendships and so forth. But I stand here actually to represent the people of Alabama, not particularly anything to do with the dentist as such, but the standard of care is what I'm here for. And at the school, of course, I have been there 42 years, and we have people basically from inner Birmingham all the way out to the last little pathway in the hinterland somewhere. Are basically our patients. About 1/3 of our patients probably could afford to be at your offices, and they want to come to the school for some reason or other. And about a 1/3 come to the school because they really could afford to be, but in a private office, but they want to save a little money. And then about another 1/3 just can't go, hardly make the private pay what the dental school charges. In fact, so many of them can. I'm surprised at how many people come in with their teeth is a wreck and they've been waiting for years to get a complete denture. That seems to be. But anyway, I'm looking out for I got to know Alabama people from the military. As you know, there's many more people in the military from Alabama as far as the percentage goes. And so, and unfortunately, we had recently found out that the hard way that we had some casualties from Alabama recently in Iran. And when I was stationed at Fort Benning, I came over to the dental school, and that's when I decided, when I retired from the military, I wanted to come back here. And this is the only thing in my life that actually happened the way I planned it. Everything else was never planned. And staying in the military wasn't planned. And as Holt knows, marrying a German changed that, into a thing. In fact, Holt knows my wife and so forth. But I guess I should get off onto the what I really came here to talk about. And when I first came here, Alumni Weekend was quite well attended. And on Saturday afternoon after the break, not many people left. Everybody was there. The people who came to CE were really wanting to learn and so forth. And then, about 7, 8 years went by, and Dr. Menaker got ready to retire, who was the director of CE. And unfortunately, Dr. Menaker decided that I should replace him. I guess what it was, I showed up too many times at the CE things on the weekend. So I was director of grad pros, and sort of a side thing was director of continuing education. Unfortunately, I had some very good secretaries or administrative assistants who kept things really going. But it was a problem when I was spent every Saturday. Back then, Friday was still a work day for dentists. Saturday was the CE day. So I was down here every Saturday for all through the high season started around the middle of July all the way up to the 1st of October when you had to have your stuff done. And so anyway, the year I became director of CE was the year that mandatory CE was required. And that's where I really found a real revelation. About a third of the class on Saturday would make comments to me, and I was surprised they'd say this. I haven't gone to a CE course since I graduated from dental school, and I could tell they were as old or older than I was, And so an example was one Saturday, and this happened every Saturday all through that high season, because that turned out to be, people get the high season, the high season and everything. But anyway, one Saturday, it wasn't the main part of the presentation, but somebody showed, what I call this caulk gun, it squirts out the high polyvinyl to make impressions and so forth. He happened to show it on the picture there. And we'd been using grad pros for about a year or so, and they'd even gotten to the second floor clinic. So, it'd been in the school for a while. And people said, I never seen one of those. What are those, And I said, I was in the classroom at the back, and I said, at the break, I'll take you down to the grad pros clinic and show it to you. And about 6, 7, 8 people came down to grad pros to see one of this thing. And so it tells me they never went to CE courses. And a lot of people would say, I'm really happy they made it mandatory. Now I come to CE courses. But anyway, that's where my story on that went. There was about a third of the people just don't go to CE courses. And we have to have something to make them go. I was invited a lot of times to lecture to study clubs around Birmingham here. And in fact, over in Mississippi, I even invited a couple of times to lecture to study clubs. So there's a lot of people, 2/3 of the dentists really are interested in learning more and so forth, but about a third could care less about learning anything. And so then COVID comes by, and that's when, people started going to the virtual and so forth. And that's a problem with the younger generation. They don't realize what people are going to do or not going to do. As far as, let's get my thoughts straight here. I talked to Dean Gers about this because I was, I still do. This year, by the way, over the years, my 89th birthday last September, I said I'm not going to work any more than a half day a year, a half day a week. And it's going to be, and I don't care what day it is, and it could be Friday afternoon. It turned out to be, they picked Friday afternoon. But the year before just about killed me. We were low on faculty, and I said, I'll work whenever you need me. And I was in there 2 or 3 days a week at 88 all year. That's about did me in. So we had a really good possibility of collecting. Well, we had a really good faculty recruitment that last year. And so anyway, I knew that a half a day a week would be enough. And so that's where we're at. But anyway, I still do case-based for 6 mornings a year, and case-based 3. I know all of you are too not young enough to have been in case-based, but did they have case-based when you were there? Holt's the young guy here, I guess. He was in case-based. But anyway, I do that, and I was given a couple of lectures, and last year I was given a lecture, and for the first time after COVID, and only about a third of the class showed up at most, maybe a quarter of the class, and I didn't like that. So anyway, I talked to Dean Gers after that. We've had problems with deans at the school. The students have been very good. The students really helped us get rid of one dean who left voluntarily, and then, which I won't mention any name. And then the next dean that we had, was more of an uproar, and so forth. And the students really had a lot to do with help us get him out of the school. And so Dean Gers, he doesn't want to do anything to get the students uproars. Essentially what he told me. But I said he should make every lecture mandatory, period. Everybody comes to school. Now I can tell when there's now each individual lecture, which I didn't know. I'd have made mine mandatory, but you can put out the word ahead of time. My lecture is mandatory, and then everybody has to be there. I don't know. I haven't done research. I don't know how many people have do that or not do it. But anyway, the lecture I was back really down to was, one was on occlusion, one was on the history of implants. And occlusion, somebody else has taken up that lecture. I don't give it anymore. And on the history of implants, really went up to the point where through the first set of implants we did at the dental school, which is IMZ. I don't know anybody here it was a disaster. Anyway, then we went to Stereos, and that's where I stopped. So that lecture was never really going to change. So the students tell me now it's on virtual. I don't give it anymore. They're told to watch it, So then we come down to the next thing. I have noticed in the clinic that a lot of the students, at least in prosthetics, they only know what they learned in PCD, where you got to be there, right? PCD down in that lab sitting there. And I can tell most of them a lot of them have studied, they've looked at the videos, they've studied the lectures really well. But there's a certain group, I can tell that they only know what they learned in PCD. They haven't really studied the lectures. To me, it's very important. And one thing I can mention, a particular procedure, and that's locator pickup are you all familiar with the Dental Skills 222 program? Number two, an upper and a lower denture, 2 implants on the lower and 22 and 27 with a locator attachment. Well, in the PCD lab, they don't pick up, they're taught everything, but they don't pick up the locators. I mean, it's a disaster with somebody. I found that out the hard way a couple of years ago. I was really busy in the clinic, and there was 2 D4 students, which I thought, they said, we're going to pick up the 222. And I said, oh, okay. And I just go ahead, because, whenever a student doesn't have a patient, this is a good thing that's been going on. That student has to be in the clinic and their assistant. So it's really wonderful the way that's been done. And I think that was done. I don't think that was done since Holt's been there, I believe. It was really mandatory. Everybody is there all the time. And it's really great because we put it on the computer who the assistant was and so forth. And that works really, really well. But anyway, I thought 2 D4s and 222. I went off and I was really busy with the other 7, 8 people I had in the clinic there. And when I went over to check I didn't go over they came to me and they said, we took the denture out of the patient's mouth and one stayed in the denture and the other stayed in the mouth. And I went over there and then took the one off that stayed in the mouth and pushed it down. I mean, the occlusion was a bomb. It was anyway, and I've noticed that since. Like this year, I'm only in the clinic a half day a week. And every time a patient, by the way, I'm in the pros section, so it's concentrated into prosthetics. Every time, there has been numerous cases where patients come back with a 222 with problems. Just got it done in the last few weeks, the last month or so. And every time we got to re-pick it up again. And so this is something that the students aren't paying attention. In fact, at the beginning of the year, last August, a female student named Clark came to me with a list of stuff. She had already identified the fact that it was a problem, which I knew there was a problem, and she said, I'm solving it. I've got a list of the way it ought to be done right here. Well, she gave it to me, and it was pretty good, but I said, I'll take it up for you, because what it was, she put a lot on that if I would have made it myself, would have been left off completely. She put on, you go to the instructor and tell the patients there and things like that. I would have never thought of that. So anyway, I redid it and sent it to her, and I said, send it out to her classmates. But apparently she didn't send it out to her classmates because the problem kept on. Well, then I got another student. So anyway, I sent another student, which I work with, I said, send it out to all the D3s and 4s, which he did. And so that's going to probably take care of the locator problem. But I mean, that's an example. And then I got other examples where they're doing a denture, the maxillary mandibular relationship, that's really what I can tell, or a follow-up on a denture, or immediate. We do a lot of immediates. Like I mentioned before, people have come in with their teeth just wrecked in the mouth. Fortunately, the decay goes so fast to get drainage without an abscess and pain. So anyway, this is about I'm about to.
Oh, it's okay. I just had a question.
How Holt wants me to stop, right?
Well, I was going to just
going
just
too
let
long.
that out.
Anyway, should mention, I've been told that one of the changes to the board is to let dental assistants to hook up the IV on it and so forth. There's a phlebotomist who that's a standard of care, which is absolutely you're not going to reduce the standard of care, are you, on that? Are those assistants going to be made to get certified to do that? That's a question I have.
I don't think that's a good question. I don't think that's
So
that's on our.
Anyway,
That's not on the radar that I've heard, at least. I said that's not on the radar that I've heard, at least.
Yeah, we voted.
Last meeting.
So, excuse me.
Right.
Okay, so it is on the radar. It's just not into a rule. It is on the radar, but it hasn't been written into a rule or anything to be proposed.
Now, I have one question. How much does the dental practice, how much control does the board have over the Dental Practice Act without changing it when does this sunset?
Well, the sunset and the Dental Practice Act are a little bit, going to the legislators to change the Practice Act would probably be like a 2027.
27 is the next
Yeah, because the
sunset.
legislative cycle is
So you're getting
already
ready now for
closing.
next year.
Yeah, but the sunset is a little bit different. That I think we'll go down in August for our sunset review.
Yeah.
They're doing the audit
Yeah.
currently. I do have one question for you, though. It's not related to CE, but it is related to an idea that Dr. Bosma had brought up in public comment about 2 meetings ago, and I just want to get your take on it. The idea is to have the ability where dentists that aren't necessarily trained in the U.S. for undergraduate, but do go to a CODA-approved residency and graduate from a U.S.-approved residency program. Would you agree or not agree that would be good to have an avenue to have them licensed to practice in their state by the board?
No.
Okay.
You don't want me, I can go into the reasons why.
Let's talk about it later.
I had a lot of.
I do want to know your thoughts on that.
Residents, those people I had a lot of foreign residents.
Okay.
So some have stayed on the faculty and they were really great.
Yeah.
An example was Perm Rulio, which you all know,
Right.
one of the most phenomenal dentists we've ever had. But the way I looked at it, we're sending them back home better than they came, a lot better than they came.
So that's good. Yeah. Well, you were the person to ask, so I had to take advantage while you were here in public comment to get that question in. Thank you.
I would agree with that.
All right. Thank you for your comments.
Thank all the board for voting to let me speak. Being from the military, I should realize that there's rules and regulations, but I was told that this is what, I won't say who told me, but you know who told me.
Well, thank you.
You know, that the board was going to be open for public comments on Thursday at 5 o'clock, 5 to 8. And I told her, I said, well, I'll go down there and tell them what I know about it.
Very good. We're glad you came.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll end up by saying, now, you know what, that 1/3 that never went to any meetings on Saturday afternoon after the break and alumni weekend, all those, that goes down to about 1/3 of the people who don't come back.
There you go.
That's amazing. So anyway, I certainly thank you all and
Thank you.
And I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Yeah,
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
All right, next on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our February 13th board meeting.
Approve the agenda?
Yes, we approved the
Yes,
agenda.
you did.
Yeah, we approved the agenda. So we're approving the minutes for February 13th. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Dr. York? All right, Dr. York makes a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's do roll call vote. Dr. York?
Yes.
Dr. Gray, yes.
Talbot, yes.
Perry, yes.
Dr. Peace?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have-
He's on.
Is he Dr. McElwain?
Yes. He's on.
Can you hear us, Dr. McElwain?
Is he muted?
He was on the doctor.
Okay, so that would be an abstain. How about Dr. White? Dr. White. Okay, so abstain.
I'm on now.
Oh, there you go. Is that a yay or a?
That's a yay, and I really enjoyed being muted.
And he enjoyed being muted. I got muted. I think that's what he said.
And, all right, do we have Dr. White here or just Dr. McElwain and Dr. Piszczek?
I didn't see him.
Okay. All right, so motion passes. Next is to approve the financials presented by Dr. White. If she's not here, I guess we would push that until the next meeting.
Those are the ones we have to.
These have to be approved. I mean, I've looked at them. I can give a general report. It probably wouldn't be as in-depth as our treasurer, but let me go ahead and do that. I think we are sitting on net assets of 5.7 roughly. I'd have to, give me 1 second. I think it's 4.6 in cash in a money market account and or our bank account in total. It's 4.684 in total current assets. Total assets, including fixed assets, are 5.7 million. Does anybody have any questions about these financials that are in front of us? Do I have a motion to approve the financials as they've been presented to you?
Motion.
Motion by Dr. Talbot, second by Dr. York. Roll call vote.
York, yes.
Gray, yes.
Talbot, yes.
Perry, yes.
McElwain, yes. Piszczek, yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Next, we have two ADHP students. One is, and one with a background issue. I know that Shannon, or, okay, Sharon.
Yeah.
Sharon has information here to present to us about this situation.
Yeah, we have two students that missed class in February. The first one, 4011, she was there on Friday. Her daughter fell on a trampoline, broke her arm, went into surgery, she had to be out on Saturday. We have documentation and photos that actually happened. The second student, 4041, she was there on Friday and Saturday morning. She received a phone call. Her daughter also broke her wrist or arm. So they were taking her into surgery. She had to leave class. She was from Mobile, drive home, be with her daughter. So both of them have photos, we have documentation, and they both are in excellent standing in the program and doing very well. So we're looking to see if they can be excused.
Okay, do I have a motion to excuse these two students for that day and allow them to remain in the program based on what was presented to us.
I motion to excuse both students and allow them to remain in the program.
I second.
Okay, roll call vote. Dr. York,
Yes.
Dr. Gray, yes.
Talbot, yes.
Perry, yes.
McElwain, yes. He shook it. He shook it.
Okay, motion passes. Both students stay in the program. All right.
Thank you.
Next is approval of NAPS event for April.
We got the background.
I'm sorry. All right, let's back up. No pun intended. Background issue.
We have an applicant who applied to enter into our program this next year. In the application, it was flagged due to disclosing criminal history. This applicant had a criminal history where they were charged with theft by deception, third, pled guilty, and subsequently got probation, finished probation, and then had mandatory fines that they had to pay on top of it. While we were doing the due diligence with the background, it came to light where this applicant was also arrested 2 other times that they did not disclose on their application. One was for reckless endangerment and the other was for hindering prosecution. Those 2 charges were dropped by the district attorney's office completely. They found that the applicant didn't have any reason to be arrested. They didn't have knowledge of what had happened. And I'll go into that in just a minute when I get into where I talk to the applicant. And then also while we were doing due diligence, we found 2 fines that have been unpaid by this applicant. We have 2 tickets in 2 separate jurisdictions that are unpaid fines. I reached out to the local jurisdiction up in Etowah County. Did not get any response back from them. So I reached out to the applicant, talked to them, and the gist behind the theft by deception, they were arrested for theft by deception second, pled guilty to the theft by deception third, which was a little bit lesser charge. The background behind that is she was working for a temp agency and claiming more time on her timesheet than they were working. The temp agency found out about it, pressed charges, and that's where those charges stem from. I asked them about not disclosing the other 2 arrests, and they claimed that they read the question wrong and they didn't correlate the actual arrest, thought it was arrest conviction together to equal the arrest. And then the 2 other citations made them aware of that. They said that they are in the process of paying $1,500 and some odd dollars back restitution in reference to the theft by deception charge. Got a call before we came in here where they have reached out to one of the jurisdictions for the unpaid fines for the ticket, made arrangements to have that one paid, and is in the process of contacting the other jurisdiction to get that one handled as well. Yes, sir.
How long has the applicant had between, I think I called it a ticket, but how long has the applicant had to start initiating payback on this, Shannon?
The arrests were in 15, the citations were in 16.
And we're initiating now.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do you think she's initiating that because of your call that's been brought to our attention?
On one of them, at least, yes. They admitted that they didn't realize they had the fines on one that had turned into a warrant. They knew they had the other ones. They knew they had the tickets. They didn't realize they hadn't finished paying them. And then for the restitution, I didn't go into how long they've been paying it back, but it's obvious they have been paying it back because there is nothing negative against them in the system in reference to they have not been paying. I just don't know how much they have to pay back each month.
Okay. Any other questions for Shannon? Do we have a, you need a motion to accept this applicant, is that right?
Yes.
If we're yay or nay on it?
Yes.
All right, do I have a motion to accept this applicant into the ADHP program? assuming that everything else lines up with her application. Okay. Motion not granted. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Does that complete our ADHP questions and situations? All right. Moving on, we're going to go to approval of NAPS event for April 4th, 2026.
Yes, sir. NAPS has reached out to us. They have an event that they have scheduled for November 4th. I'm sorry, April 4th, down in Eutaw, Alabama. They are current with their mobile license for their mobile unit, which they will be using at this event. We need the approval of the event, so out-of-state dentists can apply for a volunteer license to participate in the event. We have one person from Tennessee who is already submitted a application for a volunteer license in reference to the event, so we're looking to get the event approved so we can attach the license to that. They are not asking for any waiving of fees.
Okay.
Everything's paid up on there except for the volunteer license permit, and they are saying they're going to pay that.
And do you see any reason, have any hesitation in approving the?
No,
this
sir. The
event?
last time I went to Demopolis and inspected them,
Yeah.
they had a very good system, the way they have it set up.
Okay.
Way more enough staff to
Okay.
cover it, and it's been very successful for them.
So it's a put together event.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
So do I have any other questions for Mr. Shannon? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the NAPS event for April 4th, 2026?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Dr. York, roll call.
Yes.
Dr. Gray, yes.
Talbot, yes.
Perry, yes.
McElwain, yes.
And,
Talked over it.
is that two yeses? Okay, all right. Motion passes. And now we're looking at a special volunteer license for Dr. Joseph, or I guess it's printed here in front of us.
Yes,
We don't need to say the name, I guess. Is that for this event?
Strictly for this event.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve a special volunteer license for this applicant for this event?
I'll make a motion to approve the volunteer license.
I'll second.
Okay, Dr. York,
Yes.
Dr. Gray, yes.
Talbot, yes.
Perry, yes.
Easton, yes. McElwain, yes.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about,
Yeah.
Yes, you're probably right.
okay, so it still passed as a 4-unit, but, okay, so I guess you would just notate that they didn't vote online. Okay. All right, next we have CE broker course approvals.
Right, we have two, one from Baldwin County Dental Study Club, which is the introduction to dental oncology.
Mhm.
The other one is ethics from the Wiregrass Hygiene Organization.
Okay, and you've been presented with materials here for those two CE courses.
Yes.
Do they need to be done one at a time? No? Okay. All right, so has everybody had a chance to look over the material of the CE courses and okay. All right, do I have a motion to approve these two CE courses?
I make a motion to approve both CE courses.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right,
One of them has a connection to the board, so that board member doesn't need to vote on that particular.
that's a good catch. Yep.
Yeah, the first one, Dr. Piszczek will not be able to vote on that one.
Okay, so we'll split them up. And which one is that? Is that the oncology? Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do the oncology. I have a motion to pass or approve the oncology with Dr. Piszczek recusing.
York, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to,
We're just doing the oncology. Do I have a motion
Yes.
to approve the oncology course with Dr. Piszczek recusing?
yes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Dr. York,
Yes.
Dr. Gray, yes.
Talbot, yes.
Harry, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
McElhaney.
McElwain, yes. Perry,
White, yes.
White, yes. Peacecheck abstains.
Yep.
Motion passes. All right, let's look for the other CE course. Do I have a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve the second C course.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All right, Dr. York,
Yes.
Dr. Gray, yes.
Talbot, yes.
Harry, yes.
Dr. White, yes.
Yes.
Dr. Peace?
Yes.
Dr. All right, it approves unanimously. Okay, moving on. Board attorney job description, and this would be for our prosecutorial role. I did take a look at this before the meeting, and I just, we're going to need to review it and discuss it and make sure that we're happy with it. I think in general, it looks good. So a couple of quick, does everybody have that in front of them? I had about 4 or 5 notes. They're all pretty minor. So, all right, where it says the board attorney is a staff member reporting to the executive director, I don't have a problem with that. I do think it should also say, and the board members. I think it was probably written that way because of the cases that, you know, the prosecuting attorney obviously wouldn't be reporting to a voting member in the future on a case. That would be inappropriate. But as far as like the team leader and whatnot, I don't know if we want to include that or not. That's just a suggestion.
I think it was written that way initially because it's a full-time staff position.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So that's one idea there, is just to add that they would be reporting to the board and the executive director. On the third point under responsibilities, it says represents the Board of Dental Examiners in state and federal court when authorized by the Attorney General. My question for Tara, would that fall under the board attorney or our general counsel?
That's your general counsel.
Okay, so that would be removed as a responsibility. Okay. Then the fifth point below that says negotiate settlements and prepares documents. I don't have a problem personally with that. I do think that that should involve the team leader. I don't think that we want the board attorney or the prosecuting attorney carte blanche negotiating settlements. I think that would be a waste of time, because if you don't include the team leader, then when it comes back to the board, it could be something that no board member had any clue about. And so I do think we need to have the team leader and the board attorney.
Need to say negotiate settlements in conjunction with board members and in comment.
Perfect.
Document.
Yep. Totally agree. So that's just that change. And then if you turn over on the second point down, it says works in conjunction with the board's general counsel on legal matters relating to the board. Tara, you wouldn't know this, but I think that do we need to say except in disciplinary hearings?
Which point are you?
The second point on the back page. I've just read it in statute where they have to be separate during disciplinary hearings. So I just didn't want this to be written in a way that could be.
There may be times that something comes up in the disciplinary and they have to go to general counsel to maybe talk through an issue, an interpretation of the law, how the board's been doing something. So that there may be times that they have to talk.
Okay. And just at the hearing itself, you can't have. Okay. So that may not even be necessary to put in there. I just wanted to make sure that we were wording it in a way that wasn't going to set us up to have a problem in the future. And then the last thing that I had was really the same thing on oversight and supervision is board attorney reports directly to the board and the executive director. Other than that, I think this is a nice job description that I don't have any other concerns. Does anybody else have any thoughts or questions about this? They would be paid by the hour, correct? Okay, so do I have a motion to approve this job posting for a board attorney position
Does that include the changes
With
that
the
you were?
changes.
with the changes proposed.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Dr. York,
Yes.
Dr. Berry, yes.
Talbot, yes. Perry, yes.
Yes.
Dr. Piszczek. And Dr. Okay, and Dr. McElwain. Okay, it passes. And so we'll get that posted and hopefully we'll get that situated pretty quickly. Next, we have a survey to be sent out to licensees. I've got some things in my head, but I don't have anything written down. I think Dr. York was kind of heading this up, or if others, feel free to jump in.
I'll just throw this out kind of anecdotally. So I guess after the last meeting or maybe some postings online, I've been contacted. It's probably been about 50-50 people that want to keep it the same. So, the other 50% want to change it. And I think that's why a survey is important, just to see what all the licensees think. I do think maybe that when this was written, it might have been overcomplicated in one aspect, that because there has been no discussion, nobody's made any comments about decreasing 20 hours. So I think from the last survey that I had in front of the board, I think maybe we strike bullet point number 2 and maybe go with points 1, 3, and 4, which is, keep it as it is, allow live online to be the same as in person, or go with any modality, and just strike number 2. One thing that's important to remember too, because we're going to hear from other organizations in this, but some of these organizations, even the bigger organizations, even one of the biggest organizations represent probably less than 25% of all licensees in the state. Not all dentists, but all licensees. We've got hygienists in this too. And we've got about 6,500 Mary Beth licensees, roughly.
Over 7,000.
Over 7,000. So the survey is important for all licensees. We're not pushing this out for dentists. We're not pushing this out for hygienists. This is a combined licensee thing, because when it passes both sides of the aisle on this. So that would be the only thing I've really got to say, is that the people that have contacted me, it seems to be 50-50. I'm very interested to see what all 7,000 licensees say. I would suggest we get this out, if the board would entertain getting it out fairly quickly, so that we can discuss it again at the April meeting, because if we wanted to do something before the next CE cycle, there are certain governmental timelines in place, and we would need to have this done by the August meeting. The September meeting, so it could take place starting on October 1.
Define done.
I'm sorry.
Define done. Like, when would you need to have it started? Like, what's the deadline of getting the survey out and back into us?
Seeing the latest draft.
Nothing's changed on that survey. If that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would go back to the one that we presented last time. Strike bullet point number 2 would be my suggestion. That Mary Beth, let's say we get the survey results back.
Well, how long do you want to leave the survey out? That's the first step.
Here's what I think. If I get something on email, I'm either going to respond to it that day or the next day, or it's going to get buried. So I think going past, honestly, I think make the deadline right before our April meeting. That's what I'm thinking. Give them 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's fair, as long as we can get the data collected to put it on the agenda and then get it. And so it's actually an agenda item with some data behind it. I do, to your point, I love the idea that it goes to every licensee, because anybody that is affected in any way by a rule change or not change should have a voice. And so I think it would be very unfair to send it to only the dentist when the hygienist could be affected, or vice versa. So I'm 100% behind that. I want to I wanted to hear, or just in my mind, because I've read like 3 different versions of the survey. Can we read the questions on what, I know one of the goals was to keep it simple, and I think it sounds like it's pretty simple.
Yeah, may I do that?
Yeah, let's read them.
Okay. All right, so, in the package from last time, this is what you would have had. I will not read bullet point number 2, if that's fair, just because I suggest we strike it. But, so what it would be number 1, I think we should maintain 20 CE hours annually with a minimum of 10 hours coming from live in person, and the other 10 hours can be achieved by any other method. New number 2, I think we should allow live online to be the same as live in person to fulfill the 20 hours per year requirement. New number 3, I think we should allow any modality of CE, parentheses, live in person, live online, or any self-study educational media, close parentheses, to achieve the 20 hours per year requirement.
Okay, so the question would be choose one. Which one?
I'll say choose one.
Which one do you most agree with, or
I think
something
so.
like that? And then would we also want to have a box for any other comments? Or do we just want, so,
The more you put in there, the more you gotta analyze, which is more time that your staff's got to get that, put that
I
together.
like
And
it.
then you have to kind of answer it, like, you may decipher that differently than me.
Yeah, okay, all right.
At least.
So it's just one question?
Hold, I have a question.
Yes.
The question is, I know we need to put the 90% of other states allow that. We need to cite that. Where did that come from? Someone's going to question, how do you know it's 90%? It could be 80. So we need to just put a asterisk or and when you have citation on that.
So I can do that. I've got that data.
Okay, so you're saying that the survey would put in there about what kind of the national trend is? Is that?
No.
No, it's approximately 90% of all states allow online live. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Where you get the information?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yes,
You're
sir.
saying citate the statistic. Yeah, perfect. Totally agree.
Thank you for that, Roberto. That's a great recommendation.
And,
I have a question.
yes, Dr. White.
I would not put anything in there that would be considered push poll. Any information that could be considered influencing their answer. Let's just ask questions and let's not try to tell them what let's let them think.
That's fair.
So, and I'm fine with that too, Mark. So maybe just get rid of all the narrative at the top and just go with the questions.
Yeah, go with the questions.
Okay.
And because otherwise, it's considered push polling. If you tell them.
Okay.
That's fair. Yeah.
Very, very, very good. Very good recommendation.
Dr. White had a question too.
Dr. White.
So actually, I have 2 things. First of all, Kelly, to your question about the timeline, I believe we have to have 45 days to present it, and then an additional 45 days before it's actually implemented. Does that answer the question that you were asking?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so I would think 90 days is where we probably need to target this. My second question is, did I hear you say you would eliminate option 2? Because I'm not sure if it really makes sense to have option 2 in there if you're using any modalities.
Yeah, the option 2 was the one I suggested that we get rid of on the stuff you had last time, Sonia.
Yes.
A question on the narrative. We need to know. We need to tell the licensees why we're doing that, so that they can make their own. Instead of just giving, hey, this is a survey.
Yes.
I think the narrative is well written.
Well, yeah,
Stats, just tacking the stats out.
yeah, I agree. I kind of agree with, I hate to say this, but I agree with both of y'all, or disagree with both of you, however you want to say. I do totally agree, Mark, that we should not take any stance or give any push polling, as you call it, that could be interpreted that way. That's not the point of the survey. On the other hand, I do think we need to have at least a title or something to Dr. Piszczek's point about why. So, it could be as simple as, as the board considers a new CE rule, we would like your feedback. And then one question, which one do you most agree with? And then 3 answers with just 1, 2, or 3.
Can y'all give me 30 seconds and let me delete a couple of the sentences? Because I think I know what both Dr. Piszczek and Dr. McElwain's shooting for, and I agree 100%. Let me see what happens right here.
If you could just send me a copy.
So, what I'm saying is but I was saying that the board is considering the CE rule and like our licensees input on all.
Yes.
Would you rather?
Yeah.
What if it reads, I'll just start at the top and I got rid of a chunk of the middle part. The Alabama Board of Dental Examiners is conducting a survey on your opinion of current continuing education requirements. Please take the time to read the following and answer the questions afterwards. At this time, the Alabama Dental Continuing Education rules state that annually 10 hours of CE must be in person and the remaining 10 hours may be achieved by any other method. This survey is being conducted due to the fact that some licensees have expressed their opinion to allow live online to count the same as live in person.
See, I would take that sentence out right there.
The last sentence?
That last sentence is
okay, take it out.
Yeah.
Take it out. Take it out. Take
Yeah,
it
to
out.
the next point, that needs to go.
All right, good. Okay.
Dr. Gray, Ms. Huebner has texted me and asked if she could make a comment.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we can,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if she was here, she would raise her hand and we would say,
Yeah,
so, yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. Ms. Huebner.
Questions for the survey. If you give people choices to pick the best out of 3 choices, but there is no way for me as a licensee, if I were a licensee, to say I don't want any of these changes. Isn't the survey?
So the first choice is exactly the way as it is now. So it would be this, that would be the way you would answer that. If you didn't want any changes, you would pick option 1.
Okay, and then another comment I had is when you're talking about adding information on why you're wanting to do this and what you're wanting to do, be careful also to offer the alternative to that rather than to set it up so that it's skewed and gets the result that you're looking for.
Yeah, we're taking all that out.
Yeah, we're taking that out, and we're, yes. I think Dr. Mark had a great point. We don't need to sway anybody. We want for feedback from our licensees. And quite honestly, I haven't made up my mind on this, so there is no quote result that I want. Now I'm just speaking for me, not the whole board, but that's the whole purpose of the survey.
And one more comment, because when I sought comments about the survey questions with our leadership and members and what they thought of it, the question came up as to if you're questioning in the survey licensees and the Board of Dental Examiners serves the public, have you thought about surveying the public as well?
The whole state of Alabama.
I got a comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Piszczek.
We need to put whether it's a dentist or a hygienist on the survey. Have a check mark so we know.
Why does that
So we
matter?
know. Huh?
Why does that matter? We're all licensed.
You have to have the same number of hours.
We have to have 12.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, we have a different number of
Same
hours, but we have we're all licensed here.
Well, no, I was just
So-
thinking,
So you know what groups are think, what professors think. If you put everything together, it's going to be, it may be skewed. So you can say, okay, overall it's this, but then the dentists are voting this way. Statistically, that's what you have to do.
The dentists want one thing and the hygienists want another. Are we going to be able to change hours? I mean, are we going to really split this up?
No. All we're going to do is find out what the hygienist and what the dentist.
I know where you're going. You're right.
I think you just change your number one question so that your
Yeah.
dentist have this, I just have this.
Yeah, just combine them.
When I wrote this, I'll be honest with you, because I'm a dentist, I wrote this with the dental things, and I need to put comma for dentist, comma, or 12 and 6 for hygienist. You're correct, Tara. That's a great point. That's a great point.
How many dentists voted and how many hygienists voted? That should not matter. 100%.
No, I don't think so either.
So we'll modify the question.
Statistically, it matters.
Each
Yeah.
licensee has a vote.
Yeah, each licensee has a vote, and but it's tailored to be specific to that type of licensee and how they would be impacted. I mean, that's totally fair. I totally agree.
So parsing statistical information, just to see if you have 7,000 licensees and you have 5,000 hygienists, 2,000 dentists, so what percentage of engagement with information is it? Now, if you do that with the box at the end that says watch 1, 2, 3, and then at the end we submitted to the hygienist, there's no
Bearing on the.
other than the fact that I know that 80% of hygienists are going to hold that's good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And so be it.
Kevin, you're not getting on.
I understand that.
I have a comment.
Kevin's mumbling.
Well, if there's a way to not impact your data,
Yeah.
your questioning data, I don't have a problem, but if it's gonna make somebody stop and think before they answer, then I think you really go on.
Yeah, I would generally lean towards simple until, a specific reason, especially with surveys, because
When we sent out surveys that impacted hygienists, when we sent out the surveys that did impact hygienists, like the assistant survey, remember when that went out? Who thought that it was a good idea to decide then to put a dentist or a hygienist on that? It was blind, and that impacted us. But it was a blind survey.
that's a good point.
I just don't know why it matters
Yeah.
if we're all like.
It matters because then you see how people feel. All surveys, if you look, you see the different types of groups, even though it's lumped together. So this group is this group says that. Overall, then we decide what to do. But at least you have an idea. Hey, the hygienists are thinking this way. The dentists are thinking this way. We decide, hey, overall, that's also like that. You look at it. You lump together, you have no idea how it's broken up.
Just on another comment, if I can make this, I know that we had someone, I'm not sure who mentioned the public. We do protect the public. However, I believe the public, they don't have the knowledge of the subject matter that the dentist would have. And I think we need to be careful trying to survey the entire state when they're really not they don't know about CEs and providers and what we have to have. So that's just my opinion.
All right, thank you, Dr. White. Any other questions? I guess we're going to need to, all right, I'm going to do this. First of all, is there any more discussion or talking points before I make a motion? You don't have to second it if you want.
We're taking out the second item, right?
Yeah, so
Which item we take?
that's right. I'm going to try to be as specific as I can. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the survey that Dr. York has presented with the following changes. Reduce, taking the narrative at the beginning out, titling it as we discussed, that we want feedback from our licensees, not putting hygienist versus dentist on it, taking out the number 2 so that we have 3 options. And the question would be, which of these following statements do you most agree with? 1, 2, or 3?
And also adding the difference in the hours between dentists and
And adding the
hygienists
dentist and
in the same check boxes.
Yes, that's right. So that the hours are consistent with what they were, how it would impact them. That's the motion. Oh, and the time frame would be sent out, let's say Monday.
I'll see.
Okay. We'll send it out soon, and and it'll have a deadline.
Tomorrow by noon.
Whenever Dr. Finn can do it, and we can get it back. Yeah.
We got sandwiches.
Yeah.
We got sandwiches.
SurveyMonkey, agreement in a long time, so I need to.
Okay, we'll get it. We'll get it sometime next week, and it will have a deadline of the Wednesday before the April meeting.
So 4:15.
Do I have a second on that one?
Tax day to put on the
Nice.
agenda.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a second. Dr. York.
Yes.
Dr. Gray, yes.
Talbot, yes. Terry, yes.
White, yes.
Dr. Piszczek.
No.
Dr. McElwain. All right, motion passes. So now we are on to our last work session of brainstorming DPA updates. Do we want to take a break for 5 minutes and then tackle this?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll take a break, be back in 5. Thank you. Okay, we're back in session. And the last thing on our agenda, last but not least, and possibly the longest, is number 12, DPA considerations, board rule considerations. And so just to be clear, we're not voting on anything here. This is more of brainstorming session for board members here and online. I just think it's a good idea when we are looking at tackling a project like this to go into it with an open mind that all the ideas are kind of on the table and everybody kind of coalesces and pulls them together, and we see which ones bubble to the top and which ones are not so hot. But again, we're not going to have any final decisions made here today, obviously. More just opening the dialogue and starting to look at really what we're trying to accomplish. So I did a little bit of research. I don't know if we want, yeah, if you want to screen share this, I have the most basic PowerPoint that you've ever seen. It's 5 slides, all text, and I think Dr. Finn's going to screen share it if we can, just so that we have something to look at instead of my face. But I'll let that come up. There we go. Okay. Oh, I'm still there. Okay. Well, all right. Dental Practice Act considerations. So it was written in the 50s initially. Board's been around since the mid 1800s. As far back as I could go, I think it was written in 1952, maybe, or was it 59? Sometime in the 50s. Now, just kind of looking through the history of its evolution, I went back and uphold every bill that has modified it from 2000 to current. So the last 25 years. Kelly killed about 10 trees and printed every single bill that has modified it. And I read through them briefly. Obviously, I didn't read it as in depth as she did, but it's fascinating how it evolves. And I can tell you that it's, as long as we put our heads together and we're approaching it towards the legislators with, reasonableness, and we're not just going off the wall, it can be done, I think, within, a year to year and a half period. It's not necessarily a 3-year deal like some of the legislative bills that really get into a dogfight down there and die before they ever get out of committee. Case in point, the Practice Act was updated in bills, I think it was 2008, then immediately 2009, immediately 10, 11, and then 13. So it happened I found a 6-year period where 5 bills were introduced year after year after year that kept modifying it. And I'm not saying that those changes were good or bad, but a couple of things that I learned from that is that, yes, it can be done relatively quickly, and by quickly around here is 12 months. But 2, if we're going to go down and change it, or at least, obviously we can't change it, the legislators are the only ones that can change it, but if we're going to make a pitch to change it, we need to cover as many bases as we can, because it's not a good look for us to go and ask them to do work and consider something and pass it through the House, the Senate, and then approved by the governor, only to come back a year later and say, hey, we forgot this, or hey, we don't like this. So we got to get it right. And right would have a different definition depending on who you ask, because we all know if you ask 5 dentists, you'll get 8 different answers. But I just want to go through some initial thoughts. Each one of these we can unpack as much or as little as y'all want right now.
Dr. Ray, Reagan said he's available for your question.
Oh, good. Hey, Reagan, can you get this done in 6 months? You don't have to answer that. All right, so the first, let's go to, all right. So this stuck out to me. One of the reasons it stuck out, I looked at some of the other boards, medical board being the main one, and I also looked at how simple negligence got put into our Practice Act. So for years and years and years, gross negligence was the main disciplinary criteria that would be under 34.918. And then in 2011 is when the bill was introduced that added simple it's actually just called negligence, but if you compare it to gross, it's a simple negligence clause, and it basically states the standard of care or what a reasonably prudent dentist would do as kind of the criteria. Now, the other interesting thing that happened in that same bill is that the maximum fine for each count of guilt went from $1,250 to $5,000. So it jumped by about 3.5 times in one swoop. So the bar for within the Practice Act of what the board could come after and charge a licensee with went significantly down, because I don't think anybody's going to argue that to prove gross negligence is a lot higher bar than simple negligence. But along with that, the fines compounded by a multiple of 3 to 4. If you look at, and Terry, you probably know this much better than me, the medical board, I don't think they have negligence in their act. I think it says stuff like, they do have gross negligence, but they have unprofessional conduct. They have inability to practice competently, that kind of thing. And so it just, obviously I use ChatGPT all the time, and I'm not up here saying that that's what's dictating my mind, but I do use it to research stuff and at least lead me down paths to look into things further. And that got me thinking. I was like, why is the bar for our board so much lower to discipline our licensees than it is for the medical board? And so that's at least a consideration that I want to look at. I mean, there's different ways. On one hand, this is a little bit of brainstorming or spitballing ideas. On one hand, I don't think it would necessarily be wrong to say, you know what, this board needs to, obviously, and nobody's going to argue we need to go after gross negligence. But do we go back to like we were in 2010 and years and decades before that and say that is our bar? Another option is to leave negligence in, and you could term it a pattern of negligence, so that, I just have a problem with that definition could be interpreted where it's almost anything that's presented to you. There's a strong argument that somebody is guilty based on one open margin. Maybe it was a bad day for the dentist with the patient that they couldn't get numb and they're doing their best. That's just an example. But what happens if you have an open margin complained on by the same dentist 3 times in an 18-month period? So now you've established a pattern of negligence. Maybe that should be the bar. Maybe you keep simple negligence there, but maybe you make the fine, instead of $5,000, you bring it down to $1,000, so that it's comparable to the gross negligence fine, which is $5,000 per count. To me, it doesn't make sense to have gross negligence and simple negligence have the same maximum penalty. I just don't understand the logic there, and I'm open to any and all ideas. But look, can we just start here? And I'd love to hear everybody else's thoughts, because I'm talking too much.
I do have an opinion on how to tackle it. In my opinion, to just skip over starting from the beginning on just licensure, because there's a lot of ambiguity in it, and it can be interpreted by one person differently than another person. So I think we need to start with sections and just define licensure and have as clear a point as possible. I think we ran into a situation most recently with licensure, and then use our board rules to maybe have a little leeway in it, but make it clear so it's not something that we've got to address 5-10 years from now. And the way I believe we should do that is literally have committees working on this, so that we're not wasting a lot of everyone's time in the meeting trying to work this out.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, the vision I have for it, I think we're saying the same thing, Sonia, is that we all throw ideas in here, and then we subdivide out the Practice Act, and then everybody has a certain section that they're really looking at, and then they bring it back to the table as a committee, and so it's kind of divide and conquer.
Okay, well, I mean, I think that's the best way to handle it.
But let me just a housekeeping question. Taylor, does each one of these subcommittee meetings, or however we want to term them, where you have 2 or more board members looking at a section of the DPA, that the intention is to bring it back to the board, does each one of those have to be registered with the Secretary of State and noted to be an open meeting?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna double check those.
What's the maximum number you can register at one time? We might have a lot.
Well, just make the point that I think when I looked at this again the other day, pretty much any deliberations like that that you do intend to bring back to the board for a vote, that those are the definition of what you have to have an open meeting about.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
you do have to.
Okay.
Vote on it. You just gotta.
So if we're going to do, if we're going to do subcommittees, we're going to have to notice each and every one of them. Can they be done online without a quorum present?
Again, you'd have to have this requisite number of people here
Ooh,
or at a place. Now, you can notice it like you're noticing the board meeting for Florence next. You can notice it, like if you wanted Mobile to be the site and let the people be Dr. Fischek and Dr. White, then correct.
okay. But that applies to subcommittees. Okay.
Suggestion. Yeah.
Yes. Reagan.
He had to sneeze, so he muted himself. He said he sneezed 8 times.
Oh, I feel the same way.
Perhaps
Can you hear
Dr.
me?
Perhaps Dr. McElwain can assign us sections and we can still individually work on certain areas and then have subcommittee meetings of the sections that Dr. McElwain has assigned to us.
Yeah.
That was going to be my suggestion to the board, that you break it up into individual projects, and then you can switch with another member to have them review and make their comments individually, and then you can send it to the full board for review without having to do a series of subcommittee meetings that will bog down your process, particularly with notice and having to gather and things like that.
Okay.
So how I've done big projects like this is similar, is we get the material to you all and like you start marking up what you want and then let one person be the keeper.
Individually work it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's another way to do it.
Instead of having a bunch of committees that you got to notice,
Yeah.
you have one point person and everybody marks it.
Like, if I were doing this for you, I would give all of y'all a binder with the practice act and say, you have until such and such today to get me these, and, kind of lay it out. And as you start giving them to me, I'm putting them in a master list of things so that when we come back as a group, we can start working our way through what everybody's talking about.
Okay.
I think possibly what Reagan said is that we could share, like if I worked on one and then I wanted Kelly to look at it, I could send that
But
to
Kelly cannot start emailing you and say, hey, I don't understand what you mean by this.
But she could
because that
review.
becomes a meeting.
Right, but she could
She can accept it. And say,
accept
"Thanks."
it and then
Yes.
make changes or whatever.
But y'all can't go back and forth.
Oh, you can't go
as
back,
an
okay.
email exchange.
Gotcha.
Because once you start doing that, then
That's
you're
a
gonna
meeting.
be in a meeting.
Deliberating or, okay. All right. Okay. So, I mean, I like that idea. I'm open to either one as far as a bunch of subcommittees, or I think it is more practical to do the one point person, and everybody feeds them red line versions of what their thoughts are. And then we have a standing agenda item for the next 4 or 5 months where we start hammering out everything in person together.
For Kevin Lane.
He's here.
Is there technology that exists that we could load the DPA as a PDF file, and then we could each make annotated adjustments to the DPA, like for instance, what I'm thinking about doing here, or a red line or something like that. And then we could send those back to a central repository, and then other members would be able to draw those from that repository, and do something similar. It stops us from having serial meetings, and it gives us a way to kind of keep the thing moving and keep it in continuity.
Well, but if you do that, if you're using some software, I think Dr. York just said Google Docs. My head went to Teams,
SharePoint.
SharePoint. You're still, that could be considered a meeting because you're all in there at the same time.
Okay, so
So I don't think he wants us to be in there at the same time. I don't think that's what he's asking. He's asking if we can each, like, it's just like handing it to her.
If this is what you're asking, we could go into like a Teams folder and lock it down so y'all can't be in there all at one time. But if you want to grab it and make your own changes, that's fine. But we may just have to send you an email with that so that you can send us back.
I may be wrong, but I think that's what he's asking. Is there a way that we can all, like, I can grab it, notate it, put it back. She can grab it, notate it, put it back.
Yeah, without
just handing it back and forth.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about, is my ability to go in and look and see what other people are thinking without talking to them, so that I can begin to modify what I'm thinking.
They would have to re-save it under their initials.
Do the comments made constitute a meeting?
It would constitute deliberation.
Then-
See, if you were just, I still think it's gonna be safer to just go through a point person so that they're the ones funneling, being the gatekeeper of the information.
I think to answer your question, Mark, the answer is yes, the technology exists, but I don't think it's applicable in this scenario.
Yeah, because they'll ding you.
I'm trying to think up a clever way of doing it that is continuity.
I understand, but if an email exchange amongst board members is a meeting, then working on a reg is definite, or statute's gonna definitely be a meeting.
Okay, thank you.
So we would just have one-way communication to one person, and then when it comes back out, it's going to be here.
Yeah, so like,
Okay.
if it were me, I would take you're sending me all the documents, I'm putting all the changes, and then I may have then I may put y'all's comments out to a side, saying, Dr. Gray says this, York says this, McElwain says this, then I would push it all back out right before a meeting, and y'all can go through that particular section as a group, and you would see it, and then we can make the necessary changes after that. I know it gets clunky, but I think it's the safest way so that you're not violating the open meeting act.
Okay.
I have a question. And Tara, you probably can help me, but I've always been told that it's not considered a meeting until there's 3 or more board members.
Well, not necessarily, because you can have what's called serial meetings, and those don't necessarily mean 3 or more. It all depends upon the size of your board.
What does that mean? Our board is 7.
So quorum's 4.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 3, you're starting to get a little bit walking the line. 4, you're definitely in a meeting.
So what about 2?
2, I'd say you're looking at a serial meeting, because that could be, not that Dr. McElwain would do this, but if he met with York and then he comes out of the room and starts talking to him, and
I don't think that's what we mean. I think that if we want to do pages 5 and 9, and it's she and I, and it's just us working on 5 and 9.
but you're still as a subcommittee.
But what if I'm working 5 through 9, and then when I'm done, can I send it where I want it? And then
That's why I think if you send it to one person on staff.
Yeah, we'll use Dr. McElwain's term, a repository.
Yeah, a repository, point of contact.
and then everybody else can make their own comments without us communicating back and forth to each other.
And I mean, this is a kind of a passion project of mine. So I'm happy to be the repository, or if y'all would prefer somebody else, that is fine with me as well.
Well, I would say it needs to be a staff member.
Oh, it's the staff. Okay. All right.
Mary Beth was excited.
Okay.
And not really.
It needs to be a staff.
I saw that. It would be Kevin because he.
I thought it would be Kevin. That's right.
Let's make it Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, and it may be that you want to make, like with the hygienist program, you actually may want Gina to kind of be involved with that. Isn't Gina the one that's over the hygienist thing?
Well, but Dr. Boswell's the education director.
Oh, well, or whoever's the,
He would need to be involved.
yeah, I mean, you may want that person that's got the specialty in that particular area.
All right. So let's make Kevin Lane, if he's willing, the repositor.
Just call me something decent for Christ's sake.
What would you like to be called?
Point of
We'll let
contact.
you pick your
Point of contact sounds quite good.
Okay.
Making
Yeah.
Did you say that Kevin Lane is gonna be the suppository?
Strike that from the minutes.
You heard it too late.
All right, I like that. I think that's efficient. It sounds like it works legally, so we're good there, and that can kind of be our model. So let me go through my list of just ideas and my thoughts, and then we'll go to anybody else one at a time, and let's just get it all down, and then we can have things to mull over when we go back to our suppository.
I have a second. Karen, do we need a motion on that, or is that something that Sharon can just simply assign to Kevin?
It's his job duty.
Very good, thank you.
That's good.
All right, I've looked at this a good bit as well. So we are one of 3 states, 3 or 4 at the most, that are still on an annual license cycle. There are 6 states that are on a 3-year license cycle, and the glut of all the other states are on a 2-year cycle. That's kind of the national trend. And to me, it is a huge advantage to go to a 2-year cycle. I personally think 3 is too long. I think we need to have more touches on our licensees than every 3 years. But, the biggest thing that it obviously does is it reduces the administrative burden by half. Theoretically, I know it wouldn't practically work out that way, but it would definitely reduce the burden on somebody like Steve, so that he would not have to, by the time he gets everything cleaned up from 1 year and we have all the late renewals and this and that, well, it's time to start the renewal process again. So that's obviously an advantage that I see for a 2-year cycle. The other thought is, I've heard this comment from multiple people and I've experienced it myself, that some of the things that we require, like infection control or ethics or controlled substance training, I think it has great value and I think it's appropriate. But year after year, it starts to get harder to find fresh ethics courses, for instance, or infection control. And so on year 30 as a licensee, you're taking the same course, not the same course, but the same material for the 30th time. And so I would be in favor, if we did go to a 2-year cycle, of taking the CE, I think needs to mirror the cycle. If we stay at 1 year, CE needs to be at 1 year. If we go to 3 years, CE needs to be at 3. If we go to 2, which is what I would propose, then CE needs to be at 2. But I would also leave the mandated stuff once per cycle, which would cut it in half, but still have it there as it is appropriate, because I don't want somebody out there practicing for 10 years that hasn't looked at how to wash their hands or sterilize for 10 years.
So you can do 40 hours.
If you ask me, I would double the hours. And then the whole live versus online thing that's up in the air. Regardless of how that shakes out, I think 40 hours I would be totally comfortable with. I don't think it should be more, and I don't think it should be less. I think that's a pretty simple function.
I don't remember, are the hours actually notated in the DPA, or is that just in board rule? That's what I thought. So we don't even have to go with hours on DPA.
You just need to sync up.
Exactly.
Sync this up with your.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Thank you.
You need to consider this. If you're gonna go to the 2-year cycle, one, you've got to you've got to consider how that's gonna affect your budget for.
Yeah, Tara, I was going to jump in, if that's who that is. I was just going to say, we did, the first bill I passed at the insurance department was doing this, taking it from 1 year to 2, and they did half the licensees based on birth year, and you may have a better number that one cohort got a 1-year license, the other one got the other cohort got this 2-year license, and then it was 2 years for everybody after that. And then obviously doing what you're talking about doing with the CE did the same.
I would actually do your hygienist 1 year and your dentist the other year. I mean, that's how I would.
Yeah, you could do that.
We definitely have to stagger.
Yeah, but just find a reasonable dividing cycle for it.
The other thought is, how do you get so this was a very valid point, and I did not have a good answer because this is what's in the DPA, but it was brought up, I can't even remember where. Oh, it was on a podcast. And they said, I'm a new grad. I pay a full license fee in June or July. I've got a mountain of debt, and it's only good for 3 months because I got to pay it again in October. And it just doesn't. So anyway, point is, I would like to get everybody on the same cycle. I'm not saying that they have to, like the hygienist and the dentist could be on alternating years, but I think all the dentists should be renewing on the even years and all the hygienists renewing on the odd years. And what you do with the new grads to get them into that cycle, or you get a person moving into the state that's getting licensed by credentials, is they get licensed, but they get a type of license that when it's renewed transitions, it's a full license. Can you do that?
You would have to.
Does it make sense what I'm trying to say?
Temporary.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to, because of your license types, you would have to look at it like I would say like a graduated license or something. Right, once they have to get they're gonna have to get another license type.
Yeah, that would have to be in the, you would have to create a different license category, interim license or whatever you want to call it.
Prorated.
And
to
then
get that on cycle.
I would let the language be prorated.
Yes. Because some people will graduate in June and it'll come up, and that's another thing we can look at is, should it be October, should it be December? Either one's fine with me, but some people would be graduating and their 2-year start would be within a few months. Other people, it would be a year plus those months. So you got to figure that's where the prorated would.
I think your language for that license type needs to be worded so that you can prorate that.
Okay.
Because that's what examiners is gonna look at, is they're gonna look and see how much are you charging.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have the authority to prorate or not prorate and the whole bit?
Correct.
Well, we would present it in a way that does that, and then they would pass it, so we could do that legally. Is that?
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of license types, and this is a question for Tara. All right, is there a difference in every license status has to be backed by a license type in statute? Is that fair? We can't just change people's status without it being in statute.
Well, if they've given you the authority, if you're asking like inactive, active,
Suspended,
revoked,
expired.
suspended,
Yes.
whatever, somewhere it's going to state what you can and cannot do.
Okay. So in the Practice Act now, when a license is not renewed, let's just say that for whatever reason, it automatically goes into suspended. Okay, it's written that way.
Yeah.
And so our hands are tied. And to me, that language is not really appropriate. The word suspended it kind of has a connotation like you've been disciplined.
I agree. It's not a good word.
It's not a good word, so we could change that, and I would go, it should be expired. Or
lapsed.
First, and then it goes suspended.
Well, it says automatically suspended in
yeah.
Inactive.
It could be inactive.
Lapsed, expired,
Something, yeah,
other than the word suspended.
Yeah.
I agree, because suspended has a specific term.
right. And then you get a question from somewhere else and they say, has your license ever been suspended? And you have to say yes.
I hope it.
Why? Because you were a day late renewing and you paid your. So,
I get that, but I don't know how it's hand in hand when one says January, one says October. I thought the DPA superseded when it said that.
it does.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't think that the DPA uses the word expired at all. I looked at it. I mean, I searched for it and maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like in the last change is when in 2023 is the last time we opened it up. I think that the word expired went away and it turned to suspended. Point is, I don't have all the answers for this, but I've just got ideas and I want to open the discussion of it. I think this is healthy and I think we can get this done. I mean, something done.
On the same lines, that's what we were talking about. You know, it says January in it says January in the DPA, not October. So
Well, I thought it said October 1st.
it's got a big orange mark and a whole bunch of writing on it.
What's statute?
34,915 tells you that you gotta do it for October 1st. That's.
Okay.
What is that one saying? Am I reading that?
I know, it says, this says any license or permit previously granted under the authority of this chapter or prior dental practice act shall automatically be suspended if the holder therefore fails to secure the annual registration certificate before January 1st.
See, October 1st, it goes expired, and then January 1st, it goes suspended.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think what it says is in October it goes to suspended, and it says again here in January 1st it goes to suspended.
What section is that?
You can have it.
Page 24.
Oh, well, here. You want the page before that? I mean,
I hope you're right. I
I'm
think it says.
old and I have to see it.
Just search for the word.
Right there. See, we can kind of do not have a status of inactive because no longer in there does it say
Right.
you put a license to it.
Search for October. Yeah, that's for January 1st though. But go back to, go back to the one that says October and see what it says. I know October 1st is in there.
It is, it's number two.
That same section.
B2.
And what does it say the license goes to?
It just says on or before each year, the licensee shall transmit either online or whatever to the board a completed and prescribed form for renewal.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't what status it is.
This, uh,
Okay, it doesn't say a status on October 1st. It says it on January 1st. Okay.
For the first day of January, yeah.
I don't know how many of y'all remember this, but back in the Ice Age, that's the way it was. You had until December the 31st. Your license said December the 31st.
Right.
And then it changed,
Right.
but this didn't change.
That's true.
Most boards will open up renewal like October 1st, and you've got to the December, that gives you 3 months to get to. And then after December 31st, you go into some kind of inactive status. I don't know what word you want to use.
Yes, ma'am.
But
Something
That's,
besides suspended.
that's the way we were up until recently.
Yeah.
And that changed.
Yeah.
Correct. But this part, the DPA did not change.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then we can fix it.
Yeah.
Figure out what y'all want.
Holt,
Yes.
I think it changed because the last sunset report, I think they told us about that. I think that came from the sunset report, if I'm not mistaken. About December 31st.
Yeah, I'd have to look
Okay.
back. You may be right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that came from sunset report. So that's why we were always doing December 31st, but somehow my memory sometime back in my head, I think Sunset did that.
That's good, Dr. Paycheck. I'll look at the Sunset report this weekend and check it out.
This pertinent right here, it says, pay the annual registration fee on them before November 30th. So we were not given.
That's a separate section because that's talking about notification to people who didn't renew on time.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So those were just my thoughts on kind of this whole discussion in a nutshell. We need to get I'd like to look at a 2-year cycle, and I'd like to look at getting the statuses or the types of licenses where we have some flexibility to legally get people on the same cycle that are graduating or coming in midstream, and then once they're locked into that cadence, then they're every 2 years, which makes the board's staff job easier and more consistent. And then we parallel the CE rule to that same exact cadence. I know we did that. See, part of the problem with the CE rule when we went to a 2-year back 15 years ago is that we were on an annual renewal in a 2-year CE cycle, and that was a mess. We got to get them on the same one or the other. So I'll move on. Did you have anybody have any more thoughts right now on that?
I guess there's just still confusion about the October 31st and the January 1st. So there was a rule that was written that changed this, but the DPA says differently because we've had a lot of.
No, I think the licenses expire on September 30th, part of the DPA.
October 1st.
October 1st.
That's what I meant.
And so the board, about 1.5 years ago, started enforcing that more strictly and opening correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, but we opened the registration period in like a couple of months before that. Okay.
2 months.
So we gave them, so instead of it being like from September or from October 1st to December 31st, we moved it to August to the end of September. Okay.
And it was always supposed to be that way. The board had just given what's considered a grace.
Yeah, we did away with the grace period. Yeah.
Our license used to expire in December. Our license said December, not October.
No, it says October 1st.
Yes, but the December matched this DPA where it says January the 1st. Now it doesn't match this. Do we need to make it match? Either do we need to change our license back to December or do we need to change this to October?
Yeah.
Should go back to December.
The crux of it boils down to.
Kevin, tell me.
The crux of it boils down to, there was a discussion, thank you. There's a discussion previously, Dr. Pishek referenced it, where there was mention that your license always expired on October 1. And then granting that extension until the end of the year was the problem. So by bringing it back to October 1, you had to renew by October 1. And then if you, let's say you're on October 2 to at the end of the year, you would go through reinstatement. And that's where that language kicked in. And then there was another status that came in if you lapsed and it's January 1. Now there's a whole different set of trouble. But that's where the impetus behind all of it was. It wasn't just an arbitrary selection.
And it might have been triggered from Sunset. I just don't remember that specifically. But Dr. Pishek, that's good. We need to look at that Sunset report because if we're going to make any changes that would be the opposite of what was in our last audit, that's probably not something we should do.
Well, no, you can make the change as long as you follow what the change is. So in other words,
Yes.
if you want the October 1 to December 31st, we just need to get it spelled out correctly.
And in the Practice Act, yes. I'm sorry, I meant the change before we went to the Practice Act. Like if we wanted to go back.
Read that. Read number 2 right there where that's marked.
Upon failure, any licensee or permittee to file application for annual registration certificate and pay annual registration fee on or before November 30th each year, the board shall notify the licensee permittee by mail addressed to the last address of the application and fee that have not been received unless the application and fee are received on or before January 1st.
Okay, so no, that's talking about after
So is it possible that maybe the Sunset Committee found disfavor because we have so many different dates and we were giving leeway, as opposed to if we just set a date of December 31st and follow it and make all of our documentation match that date, then we wouldn't have a problem with the Sunset Committee?
Sonia, that's exactly what, in my memory serves, that's what the problem was with the Sunset Committee. So that's what we had to change. That's exactly right. Either you do one or the other.
I think we can word it better and clearer, because I have other boards that do the same thing. They open up renewal early, like October.
Yeah.
But the license expires December 31st.
Okay. So for right now, you got good points. We'll look at them, but the take home is we need to make it clear and not have 3 or 4 different dates in the practice act.
Or we could just make a motion that to encourage all licensees to pay on time.
Yeah.
That would be the simplest thing. Well, I'll be the one that forgets this year because I said that, but.
All right, there were two topics or points on board elections that I've learned that just came to my mind that I wanted to at least for us to at least consider. I think that we found this out through a series of events. The language for the qualifications of a dentist and preceding 5 years versus next preceding 5 years or any 5 years preceding, it doesn't match for a dentist and a hygienist, and I think it should. So it's a little it's a nuance, but it's important. So however I think we need to take a look at that, and we need to say, okay, actively practice. I don't disagree that somebody at the very least that's going to be running for the board needs to have actively practiced in the state, be in good standing for at least 5 years. But the problem is that whether it's the most recent 5 years or if it's any 5 years, and so there's some inconsistency there between hygienists and dentists. That's point one. Point two, I think this was a good point that was brought up, and I don't know that you can, I guess you can legally do this, Tara, is we would have something in there where 2 board members that have a financial interest in the same organization, should they be allowed to be on the board at the same time? And I agree with that they should not. And if not, then how do you phrase that in a way that is politically correct and legal? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And how do you do, because I mean, I could probably through 3 layers, 5 layers of indirection say that Shannon and I somehow have we both have stock in Google, right? You see what I'm saying? So where do you?
I think you have to talk about what your immediate businesses are.
Okay.
I mean, like what you're actively in.
Yeah.
Not stocks.
Yeah. Right. Or it could be businesses within the dental profession.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to 2 board members having a piece of real estate together that doesn't have anything to do with what we're discussing at the table.
I mean, you could narrow it down.
Yeah.
With corporate dentistry, it's like, yeah, it just gets more complicated because you could have some of the similar interests, but be in different parts of the state.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I guess there could be collusion or, whatever.
You could actually put it at a certain level, like they can't be. So are you, and I don't know I know who Dr. Northcourt is, but his practice is the one that I know that's the biggest that I'm familiar with. Are you saying that 2 dentists, you wouldn't have 2 dentists from his practice? I mean, like you're saying opposite ends of the state?
Yeah. Well, I don't think you say that because you've got larger, just without saying names, there's organizations in the state that have dentists that they employ from the coast all the way to Huntsville. I think what you would do is you would say if you have stock in the company or
you're going to have to say
financial interest
managing partnership type.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to figure out what that language looks like.
That's right. That's my take home point on that. Last point is I think the Practice Act needs some updating on what happens when a board member can't, for whatever reason, fulfill the rest of their office. Right now, it's currently written where it goes to the most recently rotated person off. If they can't do it, it goes to the next. If they can't do it or don't want to do it, it goes to the next. And then it says at some point in time, the board can pick. All right, here's my proposal would be that is fine until the next election. So let's say that tomorrow something bad happens to me and I'm not able to serve anymore. Okay, well, then it would go back to whoever rotated off the most until the election in September, and then you would have 2 people that are elected.
Agreed. Let's say tomorrow you win the lottery and just don't want to work anymore, not something bad.
Okay.
Just you don't want to.
I don't view this as working. That was a joke. Go ahead.
Just a thought on that, one consideration that if that vacancy occurs after the opening of qualifying or after the closing of qualifying, I don't know if you can necessarily
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
do the election
Yeah.
until the following year.
Yes, we can, yeah, exactly. And the other thought is, and John and I may disagree on this, but let's just go ahead and have the conversation. I hadn't thought about it enough to have a strong stance, but should you have something in there where current board members can run for a consecutive term and then never be able to be on the board again? Or I kind of like the idea of people have to come off at least a year before they're eligible to run again. Again, that's just a.
When at somewhere along the way, somebody's told me that, and I know that Tara or Reagan may can answer this to some level, percentage level, but do most other state boards allow you to succeed yourself in board elections?
They're appointed.
They're appointed.
Most are appointed. I mean, you're an outlier on this.
Oh, okay.
So here's the way most of the boards are, is either they are appointed by some kind of elected official, the governor, lieutenant governor, and they have a certain number of slots. Or I have boards that have an association like you, but what they do is their association submits 3 names or 5 names for each position, and then the governor selects the person from that list of names. And then that way, there's kind of like a checks and balance type of situation going on. But you are, Reagan, am I right? You're the only board.
Yeah, that's the only, semi-akin to your situation, and it's even different, is the medical board, which is by definition the board of censors of the Medical Association of the State of Alabama, which is elected from its membership by region, and then there are some at-large spots, are the Board of Medical Examiners. Now, and then they have the bifurcated deal where they have the Medical Licensure Commission, which actually issues the license and hears the disciplinary cases.
I see. Okay.
So one concern,
which is strictly appointed by the governor, by the way.
yes. One concern that I have on here is it's not, there's no way that, like, say someone gets incapacitated or doesn't like know that they are not functioning properly. In other words, maybe onset of dementia. There's no way to get somebody off your board. Like if there's some situation where you need to remove
There is one way, but it's dang near impossible. 2/3 of the dentists have to.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way that y'all
No
can.
practical way.
No practical
Yes.
way.
What have you seen in other boards with that situation? Did you?
Well, because as Reagan was saying, because the governor appoints, then someone would go to the governor and say, look, he's not doing this, and then she would revoke his status.
And there are some boards that the governor can remove, and there are others that they can't.
And then there's some that you can only remove by cause.
Yeah.
And there's no standardization in that. And that gets into some of the political stuff that the boards have been dealing with the past few years. They're trying to address some of that, and some of that makes good sense, and some of it may be problematic. and can open the door to some external political pressures that wouldn't necessarily be a good thing.
Yeah, I would have a problem with a board member that was elected by the professionals and the licensees of the state and having the power of one person at the state level to revoke them off the board.
Well, the bill that was introduced would not have, it was only by appointees. The appointing authorities would be able to remove them.
I see. Okay.
Elected official appointing authorities,
Yeah,
governor,
so-
lieutenant governor, et cetera.
Yeah. So it's just that there's just different ways you can
Okay.
do it. My point is that if you had a situation where you needed to remove somebody from this board,
There's no real way to do it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's a valid point. We definitely need to build that in.
Yeah.
At some level. Is somebody taking notes or am I just?
I am.
I've written all those down.
Okay. All right, last point, and then I'll get off my topics
Before you move
Yeah.
on, what was the citation for board elections? Just generally, where were you looking?
It's just in the Practice Act. You're talking about the paragraph of the.
I got it. Sarah got it. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
okay. General supervision versus direct. Again, I go back to, I'll always look at what other states are doing, not that we have to do it, but for ideas and national trends. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I think that by vast majority, most states have some form or fashion of general supervision for hygienists. And so I think it's worth at least taking a look at. Now, most of them come with various forms and fashions of guardrails. Some extremely progressive boards would say, I think the one in California, don't quote me on the statutes, but they're in essence, the hygienists can practice as long as they're in reasonable proximity of a dentist, and maybe in Washington they can own their practice. And I'm not for that at all. I think that's way too out there on the limb. What I would like us to at least consider is, guardrails like they have to be a patient of record of the dentist. The dentist still has to own the practice. The dentist still employs the hygienist. They would have to be a new patient. Could not be a new patient, but, and they have to be deemed in a healthy status. For instance, like a 6-month recall with prophies. I don't really view prophy as a treatment. It's more of a preventative care, because technically with a prophy, they're a healthy patient. It's kind of the same thing if you go for your well check for an annual. Are you getting treated? Not really. So point is, I don't really want to get into treatment. I would not be in favor of SRP for a hygienist without the dentist present. X-rays I would be in favor for, as long as the dentist was required to review them within a timely manner, whatnot. But maybe once per year that could be done. And a hygienist could see the patient without the dentist present. I mean, again, I just think it's worth a consideration. It increases access to care is probably the biggest thing. It also alleviates sometimes, let's say a dentist, technically by the Practice Act, if the dentist has a flat tire on the way to work and you have 5 patients in your waiting room and the hygienist brings them back before you walk in the door, you're in violation of the Practice Act as we stand right now. And so I want us to at least have that as a consideration, and I'll stop on my soapbox items and let anyone else speak.
Okay, so I want to add to that. I think that the hygienist should be your employee. It shouldn't be a temp hygienist coming in.
Okay.
I don't think you should be able to.
A W-2?
Yeah,
We're not gonna get
I don't think you should be able to just say, hey, I'm going to be out on a Friday and I'm going to stack it with temp hygienist. I think they need to be your employee. I also think that hygienist needs to have practiced for a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think that we need to take somebody straight out of school and let them see patients that the doctor isn't checking behind, because sometimes we all miss things, but when we're right out of school, we tend to miss a little more.
So would
And I
it be
think-
like with a permit, maybe?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I think we need to have a way to permit them, and I'm not saying hundreds of dollars, a simple $25 permit to let us know that she has had
5 years, whatever.
whatever you, Mississippi. I'm gonna say Mississippi because they are the strictest.
Correct.
Other than us, they are the strictest, and I think that if we even got close to that, we would ease the burden
Okay.
and have more access to care.
Agree. I mean, if you're gonna permit, you don't have to build that in.
Into the practicing.
Correct.
Yep. Tell us about, you had a good, you run into pediatric practice, and I know you're pretty passionate about what happens if you have a doctor's. I mean, I'm just trying to get that perspective. Yeah, all my patients are 90 years old, so.
The same with 90-year-olds. I mean, if they have an appointment in their pediatrics that parents have taken off from work, you're having to cancel. The odds of getting them back in are slim to none, 6 months down the road, maybe. Same with geriatric patients. If they're on your book, they've had to make arrangements to get to your office, and now you're canceling them. They may not get another ride, or they may not be able to drive themselves again. So I think just having a hygienist to be able to take care of what's on the book and not having to try to find a place for 80 kids.
Mhm.
You know, I have a 3-doctor practice. I have 4 hygienists. They see a lot of patients. And when our doctor is late or not going to be there, it's hard to find a place to put that many kids. I would say it's probably nursing homes. Imagine how much better it would be to be able to go into the nursing home. One of our meetings had a nursing home
That's
hygienist,
interesting. Yeah.
and her doctor goes with her, but they could see more patients if the doctor wasn't having to go in there before and after.
Right.
You know, long-term care facilities, we just don't think about those things. And a hygienist could go take care of them when a doctor probably can't get by there as often.
Yeah.
So it would benefit access to care to have the ability to practice in cases like that.
Kelly, I agree with you. I think we just need to come up with the terms and solidify it if we're going to put it in a dental practice act.
Are y'all in favor of not allowing SRP and stuff like that?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm in favor of not even allowing infiltration, period, under any circumstances without a doctor there.
Oh, I agree.
I'm also in favor of saying, hey, on your CE rotation, if you hold this permit, you have to have office emergencies. That would be more beneficial than ethics at this point. Every
Well,
2 years when you do CPR, do office emergencies. We do it yearly.
Oh, I see. You're talking about for CE.
Yeah, I mean, as opposed to, because one of the doctors brought up that she wasn't comfortable allowing that, because what if an emergency happened? But in case of emergency at our office, our doctor doesn't lay hands on the patient. She pushes medication if needed. Praise the Lord, we've never needed it. But she directs us what to do. She directs us to call 911, or us to start CPR, or us to grab this and that. So we're trained already to do it. That's not an issue in our office. But if you feel like it is in yours, I would think that we could just tie that to your permit. If you want this permit, show me your
Because the
office
doctor
emergencies.
doctor's not going to be there, so you've got to, and emergencies are one of those things that the stakes are extremely high, and hopefully you don't get to actually practice it that often.
Correct.
So,
If you're concerned about that, then attach it to your CE.
yeah, I like that. Any other thoughts on or ideas that y'all have? Here's one. If y'all just make a quick note, just so I don't forget. Patient abandonment is 15 days, but then it also has a rule in there, or I think it's in statute, or maybe it's our rule, says 60 days, and it's meant for retiring people, but they need to match, because it could be interpreted that if you retire, you don't give everybody 15 days notice, you've abandoned them, even though the rule says 60. So I just wanted a little bit of consistency.
State law, because some state law says 30 days for healthcare.
I didn't know that. That's good. So which one do we follow?
We follow 30 days. I don't, emergency only for 30 days is what we follow, but that's because I'd rather do 30 than 15 and be punished. So we do 30.
Yeah. Let me throw this last what's the word, plug-in for a 2-year audit. I mean, not a 2-year audit, a 2-year license. It will match ACLS and BLS.
Yes, yes.
So how nice would it be to know that every even year, your license is due, your BLS is due, your CE is due? Do you see what I'm saying? Anything else? Dr. McElwain, you said 2.5 hours. We're at 2:15, so you get the last 15 minutes.
Well, the main thing, Hope, that I see is that as we go through here, we need to make sure that we put in there in the DPA some of the modernization things. Like the DPA doesn't really address anything about digital dentistry.
Correct.
And now we're into digital dentistry and record retention and what is it? You know, like if you send a scan to somebody's laboratory and if you send a digital prescription with that, then we really don't thoroughly address what our maintenance requirements are for those records.
That's a great point.
And the other thing is I think this gives us a wonderful opportunity to address the electronic dental records and see if we can do a better job of spelling out what the basic requirements are if you're using them, and particularly that we be able to look at a record and tell who the treaters were. For some reason, it still escapes me every time I look at these records that we get. It's very difficult to tell who's responsible for what. So I think this is a great opportunity to clean up some of this stuff that really, truly, when the Dental Practice Act was written, it didn't contemplate them. Another thing that I think is kind of important, you know, we joked about we just throw out the whole Dental Practice Act, but the problem is that as you go through the Dental Practice Act and you modify the Dental Practice Act to be modified, you have to remember that means that subsequently there are rules to be modified. Because
exactly
any rule that was predicated on a piece of the Dental Practice Act that you repeal and modify, you got to fix it forthwith, or you don't have a rule.
That's right. And sometimes you modify one part of it, and it conflicts with another part of it that you didn't review.
So what something you need to think about is like I understand modernizing but really you want your statute to be somewhat general.
Mm-hmm.
You want the specifics to be in your rules because your rules are going to do what the modernization is.
Okay.
So like on the records, what information do you want to capture needs to be in the statute. In your rules, that's where you can get into all of the electronic paper, whatever you want.
And that allows us to be more nimble in the future because we can.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Your statute's supposed to be your skeleton, and your rules are supposed to be your muscles that allow
Great
you
point.
fast to move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This has to be general enough to support it for the next 50, 80 years with the contemplation that like boards will fix the rules as they see fit every time. So
That's why you've got like on this, like the CE and the couple of other places, is they give you the authority to make the rules for that particular topic. And then that way you can get it to the way you need it.
So probably would it pass the legislators to say C rule for the practice act? Probably
Well,
not.
I mean, that's what they have. They said you're allowed to have the rules.
Anything else? Dr. Piszczek, Dr. White?
To think about.
Yeah.
It's choppy. Dr. Talbot, you good? Anything?
I mean, I went through a lot of stuff, but
Okay.
then we're done, I guess.
Yeah. I just want to make sure everybody had a chance to speak before we adjourn. So I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn.
Well, I have one more comment. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if we have a clear pathway through what the expectations are.
Okay. So my understanding is we will have we'll call Mr. Kevin Lane. He'll be the point person. And I'm not going to use that word. And we will all get a copy of the Practice Act, and then we can go through it individually and carve it up, red line, strike, rewrite, what our thoughts are in our best non-legal language. We will send it all to Kevin Lane. And I think we should have a standing agenda item every meeting that we look through where we currently stand and we say, hey, Dr. York had a great idea here. This needs to stay. Dr. Gray had a terrible idea here. Strike it, whatever. And then we do that process over a 5 to 6 month period in the anticipation that we come up with a solid, new, revised, modernized Practice Act that we take to the legislators in February. And that's when we fire up the engines with Steve and Reagan and Blaine and all them and say, let's get this done. And then obviously we want to include our licensees and ALDA. And so there may be more surveys on some of the things that could go either way, but that, I don't know if I did a good job explaining it. That's what I had in my mind, Dr. White.
You did. Thank you so much.
Don't we also have a work session in Thursday in May on this? Okay, I think it's I thought Thursday from 2 to 5.
Also, do we need to approve this so there can be reimbursement?
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, I'm going to make a motion. Is 3 hours for the total for the next, or do we need?
Oh my gosh. I don't know that I can do it in 3 hours. I mean, I've probably spent 15 on it and it wasn't even approved.
So why don't we say, you can only do 3 hours per day, regardless of approving, right?
Oh, yeah,
So-
but
The number of hours, you would have to put the masks.
a maximum of hours.
So why don't we approve
A max
Oh,
dollar.
a max dollar amount.
max dollar amount? All right.
And is
so
this
that would
just
be-
from meeting to meeting because you
All right.
redo? So this
Okay.
is just until
So-
April.
Yes, so why don't we say, April is what, 3 weeks away, is that right, from our next meeting? So why don't we say, $600 max per board member to specifically review and annotate the Dental Practice Act, given to Kevin Lane for a, discussion and deliberations to go to the next step for our April meeting for all board members. That's my motion.
A second.
Okay, Dr. York.
Yes.
Dr. Gray, yes.
Talbot, yes.
Perry, yes.
McElwain, yes.
Dr. White.
Right, yes.
All right, so we got that.
So, just clarification, you want us to study the entire DPA again?
You can, I would
Or do
say,
you want us to, I mean,
I think that you should take, go
We
ahead.
have a suggestion.
Okay.
Kevin and I have been talking about the best way to do this. He's kind of got an idea of breaking it out.
What I would propose is that you do it in, I'm making this part of 5 parts, 4 parts, and I'll submit to you in share file the whole document. And then I'll submit, we're going to do the procedural portions first. And then all of you will look at the procedural portions. You'll do all of your markup comments and submit them back to me at date certain. And then I can go ahead and redline what needs to be redlined and put in comment what you all are commenting on. And then you'll debate that or discuss that at a future date. At that point, then you move on to the next portion, licensing, discipline, and then you know so forth and so on, so that all of you are on the same chapter at the same time, studying the same stuff. And then you come back at the next time and take your test, finish it, and then move on to the next part.
Are you going to put the rules with it? We're just going to send you the DPA and you're going to find the rule that matches it?
So the DPA is structured that, pardon me, the rules are structured that they have cross citation back to the DPA. That'll be my project in the meantime. When you guys are getting back, that's what I have to do in
But we
in
don't.
between.
You'll do that. Okay, perfect.
I think that's wonderful.
Well, thank you. You'll be re-engaged with it when I bring them to your attention. You'll have to readdress them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Kevin is going to get you an email with the first section, the first part.
Yeah.
Homework.
Yeah. Tomorrow by 8:00.
Yeah, right.
Kevin, what I meant to say was, I think the sectioning off is wonderful. I can see y'all laughing at the wrong thing.
Understood. I got you.
And you can, we have approved up to 6 hours for each board member, but you can only do 3 max in a day. So you don't want to put 4 on any given day.
I don't have 33 hours a day. How do you?
Well, I do 1 hour for 6 days in a row.
I do too.
No. Okay, I'm gonna,
I'm out for the April meeting.
okay. Anything else before we adjourn?
Yeah, the one thing I think we need to think through, sorry.
The one thing I think we need to think through too is that the staff here needs to participate more on the rules, the more that's of the how-to. And just with my short time here, I've seen either the lack of rule or the rule that's driving something that needs to be changed for better improvements. I think we need to consider that, not necessarily right now, but at some point.
Yeah, I would think that, to your point, if, let's just assume in a perfect world, we get a nice document, it gets passed in legislation. Very soon after that, we're going to have about 10 rules that have to be modified or more, 20, 30, yeah, okay. Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
Anything else? All right, I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, roll call.
York, yes.
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 White, yes.
Dr. White, yes. Piszek? Dr. Piszek, yes.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank y'all.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.